Comments made on the following paid commercial program are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time.
Welcome to the Money and Wealth Show. On the program this week, tax tips with David Ingram, money commercials, and our special guest, Dan Walkow.
It's all about money. At the HowStreet.com Money Expo in Kamloops and Kelowna, see Garth Turner, Michael Levy, Ross Clark, David Smith, and Doug Casey. To attend free, pre-register now at HOWEStreet.com or register at the door.
Welcome to the Money and Wealth Show. I'm Sterling Fox, and this week's special guest is Dan Walkow, a portfolio manager and managing director of Sebank Capital Management in South Surrey. Dan, welcome to the show. It's good to meet you.
Nice to see you, Sterling.
Your company, Sebank Capital Management, is a little different from a lot of other Vancouver or British Columbia companies in that you do the greater percentage of your business in the United States. You specialize in cross-border investment management. Tell us about that.
That's correct. Basically, we're a full-fledged registered investment advisor in the United States. Where we are capable of providing investment management services to most any type of American account. As well, we're Canadian-based here, as you just said, in the White Rock, South Surrey area, and we're also a registered portfolio manager in Canada. Our specialty is dealing in cross-border issues, where we service Canadians in the United States, resident in California, Texas, Florida, and of course Americans who come up to Canada and who are residents of Canada, who may have American retirement accounts, an IRA.
And want to keep them in the States.
And they decide, rather than cash it in and pay the tax, they want to keep their retirement program going. A very classic example, particularly timely at this point in I guess, the economic cycle, is with the job losses in the United States, where you get a Canadian, say in the technology business, working for a company in California, and gets laid off. He's down on an L1 visa, can't stay there, but he has participated in the company 401k, which is like a group profit share, group RSP plan here in Canada, right? So what we're able to do is take his 401k, roll it tax-free, set up an IRA, individual retirement account for him in the United States, roll it tax-free. He moves back to Canada, we'll continue to manage that IRA for him as if he was a domestic U.S. resident, with all the privileges and rights that a retiring U.S. person would have with an IRA. So, so we continue the service, so he's not forced to liquidate his pension, his U.S. pension.
You're a pretty rare breed, though, those portfolio managers and investment advisors who are licensed equally in both countries. That doesn't happen very often.
No, security regulations are such that, of course, in the United States you have the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and then you have every state has their own securities commission. And in Canada, we are in our regulatory environment, we're governed by the provincial legislation. In our case, the BC Securities Commission is our primary regulator. So yes, we're a rare breed. There's not a lot of companies that do it. It's not that they couldn't. I think it's fair to say that they could register. But the cost, Sterling, it's a bit of a niche environment, I guess is a way to put it here, is that for large companies that's probably not worth their while, or they would be in the business. That is a small percentage of the investment public. It's a specialty niche. It gets complicated because of the immigration issues, because of taxation issues. We do have a tax treaty with the U.S., but it's not perfect, and there are problems and things that crop up, and if you don't do things properly, the penalties are substantial.
It's quite literally a minefield,
isn't it? It is a
minefield. If you step on one the wrong way, boom, there goes your dream home in paradise.
Well, let me give you an example. I mean, maybe it's easier understood with examples. We had a client move up from Houston, got married, moved to Toronto, had a lovely American portfolio managed by a manager in Houston who could not provide services in Canada. She was referred to us by a tax attorney, And lo and behold, she has $1 million worth of tax-free municipal bonds. In the United States, states will issue bonds, and they're tax-free if you buy them, so you don't have to pay tax on them.
Okay.
This is an inducement to invest in state credit. The problem is they're taxable in Canada.
Oh, okay.
So, but her advisor, her current advisor, didn't know that. And we've come across many cases where American citizens will move up here. They'll continue to keep their U.S. accounts in the United States. In many cases, not being honest about which country they're resident in. And in cases such as this, where they have inappropriate investments, when they're found out, they're taxable, and it comes as a big surprise.
I want to just run this little anecdote by you for verification. I heard a story recently. If you are a Canadian and you're on vacation, Palm Springs or Hawaii, wherever in the United States, and you're reading the financial papers and you see a stock that you've been following and own is going south, and you want to get rid of it, and you pick up your phone and you call your broker back home in Vancouver or Toronto or wherever and say, dump that stock, I've taken enough of a haircut, thank you. Technically, your broker back home isn't allowed to conduct that transaction on your behalf because you're in a foreign country. Is that true?
Technically, it's correct. You have to be, as an advisor, you have to be registered in the jurisdiction your client resides. In practice, it happens all the time, and I don't think the regulatory authorities are too worried about it in that context in itself.
On a one-off sort of deal.
You know, companies, I mean, there's large companies here in Canada which distinctly say they will not accept purchase orders because that's an advisory order. They'll accept a sell order because it's just a pure liquidation issue.
Okay.
So and it varies from company to company.
So my example of selling a stock would be easier accomplished than buying a stock.
Right. But you can't have Canadian companies marketing into the United States. You know, they're not registered in the jurisdiction. This came about some years ago when there was a myriad of lawsuits against small brokerage companies out of Vancouver selling penny stocks to widows and orphans in Arizona. Multiple lawsuits later, state laws enacted. Everybody in the investment business found religion. Canadian firms said, you know what? We're not going to take the business. We're going to freeze the accounts. Same with American firms, brokerage dealers. Basically, now what happens is if you're an American and you move to Canada and you have an account with a broker dealer, if you give them a Canadian address, which you should be doing, they will freeze your account. They'll say you can liquidate.
Unless you can locate a specialist like you.
So then you have to find somebody like us.
Our guest is Dan Walkow. This week on the Money and Wealth Show, we're talking cross-border financial issues, and there's lots more to come. Stay with us.
Good afternoon. My name's Larry Ray. I'm the President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc. I'm here to tell you today that American Manganese could possibly bring in the lowest cost electrolytic manganese metal mine in North America. It'll be the first one in the past few decades. What is manganese? Well, you can't have a steel industry without manganese. If you don't have manganese, you don't have steel. If you don't have steel, the world stops. North America has no manganese. We depend on our neighbors and other countries to import our manganese, and it just doesn't make any sense we don't exploit the resources in our own country. So I'm here to tell you that we are moving ahead with the feasibility study, we're moving ahead with the environmental studies, and we're moving ahead with a massive drill program in order to build the American Manganese, Inc. into the first primary electrolytic manganese producer in the United States. Please visit our website at americanmanganeseinc.com or call us at 604-531-9639. Thank you.